Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very, very special Wednesday edition. My goodness, I can't even talk of Jordan and Drew the Sports Crew. I'm so excited because here today we have a very special guest. We said for our 30th episode next week, we're doing 3 episodes this week. Last Sunday it was, UFC 266 recap. Monday, episode 29. And here today, Jordon Lawrenz here with Drew Skyberg. Drew, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Jordan. I'm really excited for this episode, as you know, as well.
Yes, absolutely. You were the hookup here. As today, we have Andrew Kurland on the pod. Andrew, how are you doing?
How's it going, guys? I know you guys are you're friends with my cousin, and so I'm sure you've got some stories already. But thanks for having me.
I'm sure Drew's got a story or two.
Oh, I got many. We can go in deep into them later after the show. But yeah, he's certainly something else. But I'm really glad we could really get you on the show here because he mentioned, hey, I got a cousin who's been working a lot in NASCAR and who's done some really great things. And I was like, yeah, we'd love to have him on. We want to talk about those great things and just talk about NASCAR in general because that's something we haven't been able to talk about on this podcast yet.
No, we're certainly not NASCAR experts, and it's like racing. I wouldn't say it runs in the family, but my grandpa liked it, my mom liked it. So, Andrew, you work with NASCAR, correct? That's what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so I've kind of got a freelance internship role with NASCAR over the past couple of years, and kind of their at-track, on-camera video guy, especially here in the playoffs. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
Sounds like it. So let's just start way back, right? Let's go with little kid. Were you watching NASCAR growing up? Always something you enjoyed?
Yeah, this is a story I tell a bunch, and people are somewhat surprised, but I didn't understand it. I'm like, what, NASCAR? Like, it's just a bunch of left turns, which you get a lot of people saying that today. But my dad always watched it, and I remember every Sunday he would plop himself down on the couch for those 3.5 hours and watch. And I had no interest in it. And then he's like, you know what? Let me take you to a race. So it was July of 2010. He brought me to my first NASCAR race. We were in the middle of the track on top of an RV. We were grilling out, eating burgers, walking up and down the pit lane. And just to see the cars go that fast, how loud they were, the sensations that came with it. I'll never forget that experience. And then my dad, who's going to the race the next day, he's like, all right, we're going to beat traffic because I got to get up the next morning. I'm like, what? We're leaving. We're halfway through. So that's when I really knew like this was going to be the start of something is when we left that race at halfway. I wasn't satisfied. I wanted to stay for longer. That's kind of how I got into NASCAR as, I don't remember, 10, 11-year-old.
Was there like then a local racetrack or was there something local by you so you could still experience racing even if it wasn't NASCAR?
Yeah, so it was a racetrack called Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois. It was about an hour and a half drive, maybe a little shorter away from our house. And we would go every September, and then they moved it to July, and we would go to every July race there for I don't know how many years. Ever since 2011, really haven't missed a race. So, yeah, it'll always be my home local track.
So Drew and I, we're Wisconsin boys. So you grew up in like that Chicagoland area around there?
Yep.
How was that growing up?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot different than here, that's for sure.
I liked it, especially I'm out here in the West Coast in Arizona, and they're two different worlds. But I think growing up in the Midwest, in the Chicago area, it's just a fun little town to grow up in. And you're 20 minutes away from the lake. Like that's one thing. I'm here in Arizona, like I miss water. As crazy as that sounds, like I miss open bodies of water.
Makes sense.
And so you guys probably know growing up in Wisconsin. But those are just some of that, it's the Midwest life. How could you not? How could you not like it?
So then did you go to high school then in the Illinois area and then kind of like going from there, then Arizona, then for college? Is that kind of was your plan?
Yeah. So I went to a school called Glenbrook South in Glenview, Illinois. And then I'm a junior now at Arizona State and kind of made that, transition at the end of senior year. So I've been here 3 years, or this is my 3rd year, and probably have another year or so left, year and a half left. So it should be fun.
What interests you about ASU? Is it like something you're going for or anything like that, or just kind of the atmosphere and getting out?
Well, I knew I'm a rare case of I knew I wanted to do sports journalism. I wanted to do NASCAR ever really since I was, 12 years old. I knew like this is the career path that I want to go down. So I kind of knew the direction I wanted to take it. And Phoenix is such a great sporting town. You have spring training, you have the Super Bowl coming next year. You have all, the NBA, NHL, MLB, the NASCAR racetrack is 30 minutes away from here, which was also a big plus. So it just kind of made sense for sports and just being in a good market for having access to all the different types of opportunities that came with it. So this was the only place I applied to school for, and I got in. And so the college application process was pretty easy, straightforward. And yeah, it's been fun so far.
Yeah, you talked about experience. So, because with the NASCAR thing, did ASU really help you get that NASCAR like internship and experience with that?
So I actually first kind of race doing this reporting. I was 12 years old at the Daytona 500. I was actually wearing a fan t-shirt and a fan hat with a microphone and a camera. And I went up to people and I started asking them questions. And it was really kind of impromptu on the spot. And just kind of slowly progressed from there. So I've been fortunate to have been doing this for, ever since I was 12 years old. And I think ASU has kind of helped me, get some more skills, kind of eliminate some of the things that I don't want to go down in broadcasting. I'm not a writer. I'm a bad writer. I need to get better at it. But, that's something that I could probably check off. I like being in front of the camera, talking to people, which has been helpful to learn at ASU.
Oh yeah, I'm the exact same way. Like journalism right now, I write some Packers articles. I write my one a week and I'm like, could have improved here, could have been better there. It's not the same thing. But like you're talking about the racetracks when you were growing up, did you ever help out at any of those, like volunteer or try and get your name out there? Like you said, 12 years old, you were young, Daytona 500, but the local ones, did you do anything with those?
Well, I would travel around to some of the tracks near us. Especially in the first couple of years, we'd go to Chicagoland Speedway, we'd go to Indianapolis, we would go to Kansas. I remember being so kind of local Midwest tracks. But get my name out there was really just repetition. And NASCAR noticed that we were wandering through the garages and they're like, all right, who is this kid? What's he doing? Like, we have not talked to him yet. So like, let's figure this out. Cause I was like, at that point we had a nice video camera, we had polo shirts, and they're like, we didn't credential you guys to do this. So we formalized things. And ever since then, I've been able to be a part of the NASCAR media corps. And it just takes time to build my name and build my reputation and respect. And, I'm still doing that and will be for forever to continue to build my brand. But I think just getting my name out there has been going to the races for all these number of years, talking to people, building those connections and relationships, I think has been the kind of how I've gotten my name out there.
And then with that, like what's your official role for your NASCAR kind of position right now?
Right now, it's kind of COVID made everything kind of weird, but I think the direction that we'll be going is NASCAR owns and operates 13 of the racetracks on the schedule. And so at least for the playoffs this year, to really showcase the experience of the race. So for example, Talladega is going to be this upcoming weekend, and I'll be down there showing the NASCAR fans on the NASCAR Twitter account and YouTube page, hey, this is what you can do at Talladega to, influence that experience and to sell tickets and get people going to the racetrack. So I don't know if I really have a title, but I kind of know that's kind of what my job entails. Maybe I should figure that out. What exactly?
Maybe, right? A little important. I was going to ask though, like building your brand, obviously you talked about that. Like I'm on your YouTube channel right now. I mean, you got a lot of stuff on here and you've interviewed some pretty big names. Building your brand, you think that's just as important as like helping out with the NASCAR Facebook itself or Twitter or whatever it is?
Absolutely. I 100%, and if you look through my YouTube page, you'll notice some of the recent videos. They're not your typical, hey, how's your car doing this weekend? This summer especially, we've had some great opportunities to, pitch to drivers, hey, you want to play a game of cornhole and let's just have fun. Or we were in Wisconsin, and you know how Wisconsin's the capital of cheese. So we went to a cheese store, and we're like, we're going to find all these different weird flavors of cheeses, and we're going to do cheese taste testing contest. You know what I mean? And to be able to pitch those crazy, weird ideas, we've had to know those people for a little while. They kind of have to know, all right, I'm not your typical, you know, conversation or interview kind of thing. And I think that just takes time to establish and work up to. But over time, you can get crazier with the ideas. You can have a little bit more fun with it. So, yeah, I think the relationship building is absolutely, it's so important just to be able to get good access, have good relationships with people just in general, I think is huge.
Have you ever given an idea to someone and they're like, let's not do that?
Oh,
I mean, you don't have to say names.
Well, I was really surprised that the cheese taste testing worked out. There have been some where like it took a little bit of convincing. I think, you know, we did a game with COVID. It's haven't been able to execute it yet, but it was called the blindfold challenge. And basically I would put a blindfold on a driver and they got to guess what I put in their hands. And there have been some where they're like, I don't want any live animals. Like, I don't want you to like hurt me or anything. And so I'm like, no, I promise we won't do any of that. But that's one thing I've been super blessed with too with NASCAR is the drivers, they're up for a lot of things. You know, there's some pretty good, fun guys that are, you know, pretty open to the ideas that we pitch them. But I don't know, we've had some weird moments walking through the garage, you know, carrying inflatable inner tubes or mannequin heads. And it's like, I bet you no one has ever walked through the garage carrying stuff like this. So yeah, a little bit out of the box ideas, but I don't think we've ever had anybody say no. Yeah.
Yeah. With all these creative, unique games you've kind of mentioned already. I mean, talking the younger generation, I've seen some stats and stuff about a decline in interest by the younger generation. Would you say that that's a problem right now in NASCAR? And are those some of the ways, like you mentioned the games and stuff, is that the way how NASCAR and how you people in NASCAR like you have been addressing this problem?
Yeah, you know, I think the fan base and audience is, even NASCAR itself is really trying to figure out what that identity, what they want that to look like. And I think, you know, it's hard to necessarily promote racing versus other sports because, you know, unlike, you know, basketball where you can, hey, let's go outside and shoot hoops out in the front yard, or soccer, hey, you guys want to go play? It's not like you can be like, let's go race cars tonight. You know what I mean? Which I think can make it more difficult. But I think NASCAR is doing a couple of different things to try and get the younger fan base into it. And I think that starts with getting people to the racetrack, getting them invested in some of the characters, which, yeah, I think that's part of at least what I'm doing is to help with that. You know, I will, you know, watch another sport. And if I can personally relate to one of the athletes and I know, hey, they're a good guy, or we have this same sort of interest, that's something that I can be like, all right, I can get behind them. And that's kind of what I try to do with the fun human interest kind of stuff with the drivers. But I'll say NASCAR's biggest selling point is the product in person. If you can get people to a race, man, your likelihood of selling tickets and creating a lifelong fan, just like it did with me, that increases so much. So I think the biggest thing right now for NASCAR is getting people to the track.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I've never actually been to one myself, but, you know, like playing NASCAR games or whatever, like at the arcade, you put your foot down on like the actual pedal, all that fun stuff, you know, just trying to get kids invested in it, whether it's video games, whatever. Moving on. Now, real quick, who's been your favorite person to interview so far?
Oh man, favorite. There's a bunch of different guys. I'll have to say, he's retired now, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. was always so much fun. I mean, like, he is what you see on TV and on camera is exactly what you get when you meet him in person and interact with him. He's been super fun to do stuff with. There's a driver named Clint Boyer who is also just off the wall crazy, that would, you know, do random stuff. You know, we blindfolded Clint Boyer and he's just like all over the place, like just with crazy answers. So He's been fun. So those are the two big names that definitely stick out.
Who's your favorite driver currently that's going? If you can say, I don't know.
I'll be truthfully honest. Like, this isn't me being like, oh, I gotta stay neutral. Like, I genuinely don't have a favorite driver. I'll definitely want to see certain drivers that I've built relationships with do well, and I want to see them have personal success. But I'm rooting for good action. I want good storylines. I want it to be dramatic, but I don't really pull for any particular person over another.
One last thing, and then I'll get it back to Drew. But I'm kind of the same way with like a football game I'm watching. If I'm not invested in either of the teams.
Yeah,
I just want a good game. That's really all you want at the end of the day. So last thing here, I was gonna say, like, your first, maybe not your first time, but like there had to have been times where like they're telling you, hey, you're interviewing this guy, and you're like, ooh, nerves kicking in around that time.
Yeah, they used to. I think they definitely did. There would be certain situations where I gotta nail this, right? There's no way I can't. And I'll go into it like that. There've been, I think the biggest ones, and I've had incredible opportunities to be on the NBC race broadcast a couple of times, interviewing a driver or working a practice session. And those are the situations where, you're all set to go and you're like, I need to, like, I can't screw this up. Like, you just can't. And like that, like, I don't know, that bridge you burn of like, it has to go well, I think has helped. But I think once you get into it, once you get started, the nerves kind of go away. And now, I don't know what it is about this season, but it's just, I will get nervous over a lot of different things, but the interviews itself, those aren't things that I'll get nervous about. But in just everyday life, I'll get nervous about stuff. I'll be like, I'm more nervous about this than like an actual interview that actually like means something. So there's certain times, but not as much anymore.
Yeah. And I got one more quick question. Completely different topic here. Do you have a favorite racetrack? Is there a racetrack that just stands out to you? Like, this one's beautiful.
Okay. I'll tell you this, and you guys, being in Wisconsin, there's a place called Road America in Elkhart Lake that I went to back in 2018, and then they just brought the Cup Series, Top Series there this summer, and I went to go cover that, and it is a freaking cool racetrack. Like, I am like, every race fan, sports fan should have this place on their bucket list, because it is one of the coolest venues in all of America is Road America and Elkhart Lake. It's stunning.
Yeah, I didn't get to go, but I was hearing about how many people were there and how busy it was and how lined up it was. It's not like that everywhere, is it?
I don't know. I remember being there, and that was like my first or second race really that fans were back, and I'm like, holy cow, like, this place is jam packed. And it's like that in other places, but the attendance and the crowd at Road America really did blow me away.
So now, moving away from racing, right? We'll talk about it on your Instagram. I see you're doing triathletes now, huh?
That's right. Yeah. I just ran a sprint one in August. That was the first one. 2020, I caught the running bug, not doing anything. I started running half marathons and competed in some races, and I used to swim to help with my running endurance. And I'm like, well, why don't I just combine it all, do swim, bike, run. So I've got a triathlon coming up in October in Vegas. I'm on the ASU triathlon club team, and it's a blast. I freaking love it.
Anything else fun you're doing down there that's like different that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else?
Here in Arizona?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I just think the hiking and the traveling is cool. We're not too far away from Sedona. It's Phoenix and Arizona is kind of a picturesque, kind of adventurous state, so you can do some cool stuff here.
Is that where your most recent picture was from Arizona? I mean,
yeah, that was in Sedona. That was a cave.
That's beautiful.
In Sedona, it was actually off the trail, so we spent probably 20-30 minutes looking for it. But we ended up finding it, and it was pretty cool. Anything else, Drew?
That's all I got.
Yeah, no, that's basically all I got. I mean, really fun time talking to you here today. Floor is yours right now. I mean, I know you've got Instagram, YouTube. I mean, you're all over the place. So shout yourself out. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, kind of like you mentioned it. If you search my name, Andrew Kurland, on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, that's where you'll find me. Take a look at the NASCAR YouTube pages, Talladega Super Speedway Twitter account, and the NASCAR Twitter account, I believe, for this weekend at Talladega. And then we got 2 more races after that to finish off the 2021 season. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
What do you do in the downtime now, like after the NASCAR season's done? Like, you still doing interviews and stuff, or?
Man, I get to relax. I get to take a break. Yeah, because I do some work with Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s media company. I work on his podcast every week, and I actually do I had another one of his podcasts as well. So it's busy. You know, these weeks are busy, the weekends are busy, but they're fun. But I'm going to enjoy the off time, take a break, and start counting down to the 2022 season.
There you go. I don't blame you at all. Drew, shout yourself out.
Yeah, you know the drill. Instagram, Twitter, Drew Skyberg, DREWSKYBERG. And Jordan, it looks like we're going to have to make it to a race next year for the 2022 season. I think we got to go to one. Maybe nice and close. We can start at Road America. We can start also the 141
Are they going to be
Speedway.
back to Road America next year?
Yep, they're going back. It's going to be 4th of July weekend. Yep,
well,
next
Jordan, looks like we're going.
So busy. Yeah, I mean, there's like local things too. I see it all the time. We're from Manitowoc. I don't know if you know where that is, but they took our racetrack down and they built a Meijer, the store Meijer, on it.
Oh man, you don't want to see that.
That's what they did. I'm telling you, we lost ours. But my uncle sends me all the time. He lives in Arizona also. He sends me all the time about racetracks he's at and pictures and stuff. And yeah, Drew will definitely find a way to get somewhere next year and get into it a little bit more if we can. So I'm on Twitter, JordanLaw_PXP. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Jordan and Drew the Sports Crew, Facebook, Jordan and Drew the Sports Crew, Instagram, Jordan_Drew_Sports Crew. Andrew, once again, thanks for coming on. It was a fun time.
Guys, I appreciate it. And hey, I mean, you obviously, you know, Cameron, he just let me know. You guys want to go to Road America? We can make that happen next summer and have some fun with it.
That would be awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Wait.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Episode 30 coming on Monday, guys. Listen back to everything if you haven't already. And thank you for listening to this very special episode of Jordan and Drew the Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.